Yes, all the presentations for this, the entire symposium will be on the Pinellas by Design, no spaces, .org/2014 symposium. So that's a good place to find these. And I'm going to go very quickly through my presentation because really it's a catch-all of all of the different tools that are available for economic development in Pinellas County and the municipalities. And I apologize in advance for how these slides are a little busy. So don't bother trying to read the slides. I'm just kind of giving you a taste of everything that's out there. The entire program will be available on the website. And if you want to drill down to any of those specific programs, you can find the data and you can get in touch with me or my staff anytime as well. But these are tools that are used to help promote redevelopment and to help promote job creation throughout Pinellas County. Our mission statement as a department, and really the mission of any economic development organization, is to create more and better jobs for the citizens. So we do that in a variety of ways. As Bill mentioned yesterday, that one of the biggest is to help retain our existing jobs and help our existing companies to grow. And to do that also by promoting entrepreneurship, helping the citizens of the county to gain the skills necessary and the connections and networking and the financing they need to start their own company and to create wealth for them and for the county as a whole. Most of the new jobs are created by these small businesses, so this is the best way to help the most people. Attract, again, we don't give up on trying to attract the new employers to the area, new to the area, but from around the country, and trying to create particularly the high wage, high skill type jobs. We're also here to improve the business climate. We work with the state legislature and with local governments to improve the permitting process, to improve regulatory processes, to just make the speed of business increase. Because again, as Bill mentioned, they go where there's least resistance. So we're trying to reduce the resistance to new business and to new jobs in the county. Partnerships are critical to what we do. What we do as an organization primarily is connect people to people who can really answer their problems. So we connect them to real estate agents, we connect them to bankers, we connect them to management consultants and so on. And that's our vital role, and in order to do that, we've got to work with a wide variety of organizations. Facilitating the trained workforce, and it's working with Jim Connolly, working with the University of South Florida, working with PTech, working with the public schools, because a lot of the perception of education in Pinellas County revolves around, am I going to come here as a worker and bring my kids into that K-12 environment? We need to make sure that we have a good reputation there and continue to build the classes and coursework that feed our future pipeline of workers. These, again, we've talked about our target industries of the past few days, but these are, the way we select these, to give you an idea, is we're looking obviously at primary employers. We want people who are bringing new money into the area. We look at high wage because we want to have the highest disposable income we can to help that churning within the local environment. People are buying more stuff locally when they have more money to spend. We're looking at industries that have an existing base here, that have the supply chain, have the critical mass necessary to grow, and that's true of these. We're looking at companies, at industries that are growing nationally. We don't want a declining industry line. We want to help the companies that we know are growing globally and nationally. And then because of the lack of available land, we're looking at companies and industries that hire a lot of people per square foot. We want to pack them into the limited land we've got left. So that's how these industries are selected. Small business development, as I mentioned, the vast majority of our businesses, particularly in our manufacturing, you look at our manufacturing companies, there's about 20 companies that have 500 or more employees in Pinellas County in manufacturing. The vast majority have under 10. And these are strong manufacturing companies with multi-million-dollar sales, but they're dealing with very few employees and a lot of technology. So the small business is critical to that, and a lot of times these are people with engineering degrees that had a great idea and they come out and they try to start their own business. What we try to do is help them with business skills, with a marketing plan, with a business plan, with connections to financing, so they can take their great idea and turn it into something more and be able to hire people and bring new money into the economy. We also work with the Clearwater U.S. Export Assistance Center, which is a branch of the U.S. Department of Commerce. We have 3 staff members of the commercial service within our suite of offices that help companies to export. So again, a lot of our domestic markets are flat right now. One of the big things we're working to do is help people to export their product and increase sales, and then obviously increase employment. What we do, a variety of things with our existing retention, expansion, and attraction will help them find, land. That's obviously a very difficult thing to do, but we have a very strong database on that and a lot of connections to commercial realtors, and we try to make sure they find a building suitable for them. Permitting assistance, getting, again, through that land use, zoning, permitting, approval process, and get up and running as quickly as possible. Incentives are a part of what we do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's not all we do, which I think is important for people to realize. Again, financing, including SBA small business loans and including industrial revenue bonds, which are tax-exempt bonds that allow them to have a little bit lower interest rate than they would have otherwise, and those are done through our organization. Training grants are huge, as Jim Connolly mentioned. The Incumbent Worker Training Program is an opportunity for us to match the training budget of an existing company. And the biggest thing we do for our existing employers when we're out there trying to retain employment is make sure that each of those existing workers is at the peak of their skills for what that company needs at any given moment. We can provide the funds to help make that happen, and Jim Connolly and USF and PTEC all provide the training necessary to make sure that these people are best in their field. And these are existing workers helping them to get better. And that investment, even if the company goes away or moves on, those workers are still there and they still have the best skills available, and that becomes a permanent asset to our community. And then the small business innovation research, these are opportunities for companies to take R&D ideas and turn them into reality and work with universities and with government agencies to have a ready market for that research and to commercialize it. These, again, are going a little bit more into incentives. There's a whole list of a wide variety of incentives that are available. The key thing to remember, a couple of key things about incentives. We don't make bad deals good. We're not buying jobs, because if the job doesn't make sense in Pinellas County on its own without an incentive, there's no reason for us to go after it, because eventually that value of that incentive goes away, and so does the company. They're going to go be marching after the next guy who'll pay them for the jobs. So what we're trying to do is make sure we stay on the short list, that we are competitive and we are showing the companies that we care and we want them, because investment goes where it's wanted and it stays where it's appreciated. So what we're trying to show them with incentives is we want you here, we appreciate it, we know that you have upfront costs to locate, we want to help offset those, we want to stay competitive with the other sites you're considering, but we're not going to buy your project. And so that's critical. The other thing is, in Florida and throughout our county and city incentives, they are all built on performance. These jobs have to be created that they agree upon ahead of time. They have to be created at the wage levels they say they're going to create them, and the capital investment needs to be where it is. And if they don't achieve that, they either don't get the incentive, or in the event that we had an upfront incentive, the money is clawed back and returned to the tax rolls to be used again in other incentive projects. So performance-based is critical. Ad valorem tax exemption is just the most recent tax abatement incentive that we have available to us. This was approved by the voters in August. Largo's, Clearwater, and St. Pete have already been operating their programs. It's a way for companies that are doing large capital investment, particularly in this primary employment, to receive an opportunity. They never pay those additional taxes for that capital investment they put in. They're building a new plant. They're doubling the size, an existing employer doubling the size of their space. That additional space is exempt from property taxes for up to 10 years, for up to 100%, if they're creating the jobs at high wages in primary industries. So that's a new incentive that we'll have available to us, and a great tool, particularly for those with high capital investment. This is hearkening back to yesterday when we were looking at the GIS planning tools that were available. We are using that GIS planning component here with Esri data. It's available now on our website through tampabaysites.org. You can go there and find existing properties, and commercial, industrial, even retail and hotel properties are in here. and it gives complete data on the available property, but you can also drill down, you can look at all the incentive zones, the enterprise zones, the downtown CRAs, everything is on here. The land use and zoning is available here. You can do the consumer expenditure data, population, employment data. You can drill down and see where your competitors are, identify the different companies based on NAICS codes. It's an incredible tool that is available to everyone through that website. Again, those search functions and market analysis are available. The beauty of it too for realtors is if you're part of FIGCAR, which is our largest local commercial real estate association, and you're a member, you're a CIE member there, everything you plug into their database gets loaded into ours every night. So it's an automatic. People were tired of entering the same data twice because we're asking for a lot of information. So this is a way to make sure we have the best and most available data. And if you're not a CIE member, you can come to us directly and put any sites that you have available into that database to move forward. Partnerships. We partner with anybody who has anything to do with jobs. So, I mean, you know, this is a kind of a short list and broad topics, but we work very closely with our cities. We can't do it without our city partners. Beauty of Pinellas County economic development is we don't really care where you locate within the county as long as you locate in Pinellas County. We work closely with all of our cities. If they bring us a lead, we make sure we preserve that lead. We're not going to take a lead we get from Clearwater and give it to St. Pete. We will find a spot in Clearwater until they come to the point where they go to the Clearwater staff and say, we cannot find a location here, and we'll get permission. We'll work closely with them to make sure they stay in Pinellas County. Beyond that, make sure they stay in the Tampa Bay area if we aren't able to achieve that. So those partners are critical. The chambers of commerce work especially with the small business and the networking to be able to develop those supply chains and really keep the churn within Pinellas County, keep that money flowing here as often as possible. Because so many times we find our manufacturers are buying subcomponents or services from outside the area when they don't even realize that the guy on the other side of the industrial park does that very thing. So a lot of what we do in working with the chambers and with our staff is making sure we make those connections. And the industry associations are another big key player in that, and just bringing together people so they identify the ways they can spend the money locally rather than sending it elsewhere. Our state and national partners as well, obviously Enterprise Florida and the Tampa Bay Partnership that you heard from yesterday on their marketing plan. They are our chief source of marketing and for leads for attraction projects. We don't do a lot of marketing except through those organizations. And then education and workforce, as I mentioned, we work with all the educational institutions, including the colleges. The Small Business Development Center network, we have a Small Business Development Center within the department. We work with the statewide network. We get money directly from the state, and we get money through USF's Small Business Development Center, and then the U.S. Commercial Service that I mentioned with the export development. One of the things we have done in the past is reused surplus properties that the county owns and brought in jobs as a result of that, and used a process where we said, not only are we going to just sell to the highest bidder, we're going to look at what we can offer a piece of property and say, this is the chunk of land we have, the development opportunity we have. We want to create jobs. We want high wages. We want primary industries. What will you do? What price will you pay? But also, what kinds of jobs you're going to create, and what kind of quality of life feature you're going to add to the county as a whole. We've done that with several smaller properties. Right now, we've just gotten authority with the Star Center property, the old Department of Energy plant at Belcher and Bryan Dairy. It's 94 acres, 600,000 square feet of original space, and up to 1 million square feet right now under roof on that site. The beauty of it is it was bought for $1 by the county when the U.S. Department of Energy decided to cease operations there. They made triggers for nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, we don't need as many nuclear weapons as we once had, so that entire facility became available. And today we have more jobs on that site than at the time it was closed. It was the announcement was made. We have 28 different companies, over 1,800 jobs. The facility is 95% occupied. It's a complete success. So what we want to do is sell that to a private developer to continue operations as a manufacturing center and take the proceeds and reinvest it into another type project where we can continue to create jobs and create and promote that kind of the land assembly we talked about yesterday, on a smaller scale, because it's not going to be more than about $20 million tops. I mean, but it's a start. Toy Town landfill is the old St. Petersburg landfill that you see when you drive into Pinellas County, across the Howard Franklin and head into St. Pete. 240 acres of garbage, and it's got a clay cap over it, and it's been closed since the 90s, but still they're doing some work on the site now to help improve the drainage system under the site to keep it in compliance for closure permit. But we will probably soon see that going back on the market with an RFN when the time is appropriate. The markets are improving, and we just need to, we had a proposal for the site, and then the recession hit, and it kind of took them completely out of the picture. So we will be going back to that. Another site is the Airco Golf Course that's owned by the airport. It's actually subject to FAA restrictions because we've gotten grants over the years. So we'll be doing land leases at this site, but is currently zoned. It's approved for office industrial, but as Bill mentioned yesterday, it can't be just approved, it has to be improved. Right now, we do not have water, sewer, roads, anything. We even have a chain link fence between it and the runway. So what we need is the ability to connect directly to the runways for aviation type operations, to bring in the roadways and water and sewer and infrastructure we need to make sure that we're ready to put buildings up as quickly as possible. Another thing we're doing now that the county commission saw fit to add some dollars to our budget this year to kickstart this program. In 2008, we were forced, because of the recession, to remove our international activities. We now are restoring that. We have a full-time staff person that does international marketing and foreign direct investment, where foreign companies are coming here to invest in the U.S. We're increasing that. The foreign trade zone is an opportunity. It's an incentive that says if you are taking product that has components that are made elsewhere in the world and they're coming in here and you're doing value added to it and you're shipping it back out overseas, it operates as if that never entered the United States. So there are no tariffs, no duties, and it's very reduced reporting requirements as a result of being in a foreign trade zone. So Catalent is a company here that does pharmaceuticals. They save $2 million a year by using this foreign trade zone program. So it's a significant incentive that we're going to be working to reestablish our zone schedules and get out and market that program. We're also working closely with Hillsborough County on promoting exports throughout the area. And the beauty of that is we're not competing with them for individual projects. This is helping our existing employers, both in Hillsborough and Pinellas, to sell more of their product elsewhere and bring that new money in. We can easily work together. We can save money and leverage money and marketing dollars and travel dollars by going to these foreign markets, taking our companies there to meet directly with people who want to buy their product and increase their sales, and therefore increase the investment they make in Pinellas County and the Tampa Bay area and increase their employment. And this fall in December, Commissioner Seal is going to join us, going to help lead the effort to go to Chile for a week-long sales mission there. We've got companies from Tampa Bay that are going with us, again, meeting with companies that want to buy their stuff and hopefully increasing our sales. Mayor Kreisman from St. Pete is going along, as is Mayor Buckhorn and Commissioner Miller from Hillsborough County. So it's a true multi-county effort. And we're excited about that because of the leverage and the opportunity we have. Foreign people and investors and businesses don't look at St. Petersburg or Largo or anything like that. They are lucky to know where Florida is sometimes, and they know us as tourism, but they don't know us as business, and they don't know the Tampa Bay area. So that's what we're out there, is to let the world know our advantages, and we do it better as a Bay Area, because with 4 million population rather than 1 million, we start getting more attention, and they see the companies and the employers that we have. The skills initiative is another new thing that really ties into the international, in the sense that it's using the German model where we have dual enrollment. We want kids to learn how to do manufacturing. And part of that is this is a 3 to 4 year program. Well, they'll start as a junior in high school. They'll get intensive training in manufacturing operations in every aspect. And that's what the employers are demanding now. You can't just know plastic injection molding. You got to know machining. You got to know CNC. You got to know Six Sigma. You've got to be able to build a quality product and troubleshoot and do all of that. And because we've got large manufacturing operations that are operating with 10 or more employees, and it's a very intense training program that ends up certifying them and making them ready for manufacturing of the future. And then we're also taking that same program and making these short-term certificates available where existing employers can come in and they need out immediate training in welding or CNC machining, they get that product done immediately. Some of the local incentive programs, I'm going to run through these very quickly. The job creation programs, we do have specific bonuses that are local incentives that tack on top of the state incentives. These are for the creation of high-wage jobs in primary industries. The other thing is in land assembly and property acquisition. The cities have done this better than the counties. Honestly, Largo, St. Pete, Clearwater have assembled property, put together projects, and made them available to developers. Even the smaller cities, Tarpon Springs and Oldsmar, Dunedin, Pinellas Park, people have done this already, primarily for the downtown redevelopment type projects, but some of the industrial, like in St. Petersburg. So there is a history of that, and we want to build on that as we move forward. Local incentive programs, these are smaller grants that are available to developers, and usually most of these incentives are only available to the employers. So here are some opportunities, again, where the cities have come out and said, we want to help make sure that these non-residential projects get funded, and there's usually small grants. We're only looking $5,000 to $10,000, but they are ways to improve a facility and make it more attractive, to demolish old property or do some tenant improvements. The other is facade improvement. These are mostly retail type downtown opportunities, but property improvement grants that are available to businesses, again, mostly through the cities. CRA areas are a tremendous asset for redevelopment. They take the older industrial and office and downtown areas, make incentives available. There is a way to help focus infrastructure improvements there, and you've seen this in downtowns time and again. All the downtown streetscape projects in Clearwater, Dunedin, Safety Harbor, St. Pete, they are built around this CRA model. We have the ability to make CRAs and TIF districts in the unincorporated area. We've never done that. That is a tool that we're going to explore in the future, and again, build on what the cities have known. Brownfields programs, these are areas that were identified. They are have at least the perception of environmental impacts within the area, but by bringing the opportunity, I think all of our developers so far mentioned that they need environmental assessments on the property. They need to know what was under the ground, what impacts are potentially there, and then even the phase 2, actually doing some testing on the sites. Funds can be available through that Brownfields program to do that. Regional stormwater, again, that's been mentioned again. There's so much redevelopment that there's just no room on individual parcels to do the water, to take care of that stormwater. What we want to try to do is, as Largo and Clearwater have done especially, to identify ways to do that on a regional basis, to cover an entire industrial park with a government-based stormwater retention area that the private industry can pay into, but they don't have to eat up their own parcel to be able to do that, and they can create more square footage and more jobs as a result. Fee waivers, reductions and refunds, many of our cities do that. Pinellas Park's a great example. They show that they really want business by extremely streamlining the process and reducing fees. We are doing that now at Pinellas County. We've just gotten approval to waive the expedited building inspection process, the building permit process. So that is an excellent tool. Design review programs are the same thing, just trying to speed up the process of review, make it transparent, make it more certain, but still do the necessary work to make sure that the rules are being followed. Entrepreneurial programs, we've got a lot going on right now with incubators throughout the area. These are areas where small businesses can start up for lower cost and with the assistance they need, with counseling, with mentoring, with others, with that, just that, again, building a critical mass of knowledge and experience and contacts within a small area. Tampa Bay Innovation Center, formerly at Star Center, now in downtown St. Pete, called the Tech Garage, and moving a little bit later probably to a 40,000 square foot facility in just south of downtown St. Pete. Clearwater does the same thing with TBIC on a virtual basis, working with companies, and there's actually a company, an IT company, that's looking to do an incubator on their own, in their own private property as a for-profit basis. Pinellas Park has done that with the city set aside space for small business incubators. USF has their Gazelle Labs. There's a kitchen incubator that, on a primary basis, they help people to take their family recipe for barbecue sauce and package it for manufacturing and for longer shelf life, for distribution, so it can turn what was a small catering business into a manufacturing concern. So that's a great opportunity. And then Greenhouse in St. Pete, the 1,000,000 Cups is like Shark Tank on steroids. There's 100 people standing in this one big room, shoulder to shoulder, listening to ideas that are being pitched by local investors, great ideas that can turn into great companies. Some concepts of things we can look at going forward. The Small Business Loan Program is a chance to help with smaller companies with small loans for working capital that are not collateralized, and they have trouble getting loans from the banks because they're not backed up with hardware or real estate. But these are loans that can be done on a governmental basis with CRA dollars being leveraged. The banks have to invest in the local community. We put in seed money as governments and have the banks put in their CRA funds. We develop a pot of money that makes these small business expansions possible. Urban Regeneration Toolkit, there's a lot of different ideas we're going to be exploring. Obviously, you've heard about land assembly. We've got a lot of different ways we can go after that. Demolition incentive, we've got to help developers to be able to, landowners, really landlords, to be able to clear their sites of older buildings and make it more attractive and more ready to go for somebody who's coming in. Transfer of development rights, and particularly as we move forward with some of the sea level rise issues and 100-year floodplain issues, and buffering even for residential neighborhoods, if we can transfer development rights from these problem areas within a parcel to the other part of the parcel or adjacent parcels, be able to increase the density, but really not increase it because it's taking the density that was already there on the long-range planning map and putting it into new areas. We're just kind of scraping it into an area where we want development to go in order to protect areas like the coastal high hazard areas. CRAs and TIFs, again, as I mentioned, those community redevelopment areas could be done in more parts of the county, particularly the unincorporated area. Land uses for target industries, you've seen this has come up again and again. We are trying at the county level and some of the cities to make sure that we preserve land that is zoned for industrial, that it can stay there for creation of offices and jobs, and we want to continue that program. Brownfields, transit-oriented development, you've heard about. A lot of our land use code is being changed, that even if Green Light doesn't pass, they'll have the ability to make higher density on our bus corridors and bus rapid transit. There's opportunities to move forward no matter what, and we definitely, that is a key to the development of the county. We're going to have to improve our densities and our transit. Local economic development incentive programs, there are opportunities to create new tools that we will look at. This is, again, looking at the stormwater and the flood issues. These are not going away. We had Bigger Waters and the National Flood Program, and all of that was big news a few months ago. Congress kicked it down the road, but it's still there. It's coming back. We didn't stop by an act of Congress, sea level rise or climate change or anything like that. It's still out there. It'll come back to us. We've got to find an answer for it. And part of that is the low impact design guidelines, being able to vault stormwater, being able to find ways to handle stormwater while still continuing developable property instead of taking it out of the development path. We're multi-using it. And again, the regional stormwater is an opportunity. With that, we're going to have a short break, put together the panel, and we'll have the wrap-up discussion and question and answer period, and it's going to be facilitated by Alexis Molnar from the Tampa Bay Business Journal. So please come back in 10 minutes and we'll get started. Thank you.